So hello, Simon.
Hi.
Hi, hello. So today we would like to introduce you a school, a boarding school from New York. It's a very special one. I don't know, Simon, is there any other boarding schools in Manhattan?
No, in fact, we're the only boarding school in New York City. So not only Manhattan, but all the 5 boroughs. Léman Manhattan, at its foundation, is an elite private school. We're about 1,000 students, and only 100 of them are boarders. But we have the only boarding program component in New York City.
Wow. Okay. So shall we start with the video of the school to have a quick look?
Yes. I will do it myself, yeah?
Okay. I can do it too.
All right. Well, let me see if I can manage this. So this is for everybody watching. This is a promotional video on the boarding program at Léman Manhattan. Okay. Here it is.
Well, at Léman Manhattan, we're committed to educating and empowering and inspiring students to become independent, critical thinkers. We really prepare students with the knowledge and the skills that they need to evaluate and compare and to make thoughtful choices so that they become informed and engaged citizens of the world.
The learning community at Léman Manhattan is truly a microcosm of the world. We represent both students and faculty, at least 50 countries of origin and 30 languages.
We're the only high school boarding program in all of Manhattan, and that enables our students to really capitalize on this truly amazing city. Exploring the heart of Wall Street, where we're located, or going to some of the world's best museums, or going to Broadway, our children are in the core, in the center of one of the most cosmopolitan cities in the world.
What I like about being in New York City as a boarding student is meeting a lot of people from all over the world and the amount of opportunity available here. And there's lots of things to do.
New York is a beautiful city, and I really wanted to have another experience. I wanted to get to know different cultures. I wanted to be in an international community. New York is such a cosmopolitan city that I have a lot of different possibilities and chances and things to explore. And Léman offers all of that.
We're right near all these tremendous universities, whether it's the great schools in New York, like NYU or Columbia, or we're right down the road from Boston with schools like Harvard and MIT. Your students will be in an environment that is not only encouraging them to prepare for university, but close enough to help them explore some of the top universities in the world.
We have over 100 representatives from colleges around the country and from abroad meeting with us right here at the campus of Léman Manhattan, not only meeting our students who are involved in the admission process, but also getting to know what a Léman education is and what advantage that gives to our students.
Just the experience of boarding in general, seeing people from everywhere from 200 miles to 2,000 miles to beyond it's a really great concept to know that you're living with people and experiencing their culture. And it's just something that you don't often have, maybe even in college, depending on the school you're going to. It's a really different experience that allows you to kind of take a global perspective of your education.
Residential life, it's really fun. You have your roommates where you can share the room with and don't feel alone because you have someone to be with. We have all amazing activities on the weekends, so if you don't have plans on the weekends, you can just join the activities. And like the staff in the dorm, they are really wonderful people.
At its core, Léman Manhattan is both a day school and a boarding school. We're a community school in Lower Manhattan with grades pre-K all the way through grade 12, but we're also a residential program, a top boarding program that pulls students from all over the United States as well as the rest of the world.
Day students and boarding students live their lives together every day. They take classes together, they're on teams together, they're in musical productions together, and they're learning and problem solving together, and that really creates a special community here.
As an international baccalaureate school, the Léman learner is one that is courageous, a risk taker, caring, and open-minded. We see that all students embrace what it means to be a global citizen in the world and see the world with their eyes wide open, ready to accept whatever comes their way.
I feel like the IB diploma really encompasses outside of the classroom learning. It kind of teaches you, like with the course Theory of Knowledge, it teaches you how to think. It teaches you the science behind thinking, which is something that I know is going to be very, very helpful in college.
We know that colleges and universities and potential employers are looking for the skills that students develop in the IB program, such as critical thinking skills, the ability to collaborate, the ability to conduct research. These are the skills that go beyond just learning the content that the IB program emphasizes and that, again, colleges and universities and employers are seeking.
We've been working with students from all around the world for over 20 years, helping them gain access to top universities in the United States, in Europe, and in Asia. I think the international families really see what we see in the International Baccalaureate. That is a rigorous program that teaches critical thinking skills and really is thought of as the gold standard in curricula by top universities around the world.
Okay, very impressive.
It's making me homesick. You know, I'm from New York and I live in Europe, and because of the pandemic, I haven't been able to travel to New York as frequently as I would like in the last few months.
We hope you can go back soon.
Yeah.
So I open you the presentation. Okay.
Okay.
And I would like to tell the people here who are listening to us that they can always ask their questions with the chat button they will find. So we are here to answer any questions during the presentation or at the end of the presentation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Please ask away. Even better. I mean, I see that we're 4. So please ask questions during the presentation. Feel free to interrupt, raise your hand, however this platform works. And I'd be very glad to kind of pivot and answer any questions you have live while I'm presenting. Okay? So, Léman Manhattan, let's see if I can use my arrows here. I don't have to do anything else, right? It's currently
I opened already, so you
it's full as it gets. Okay. So Léman Manhattan is very much an urban school. I can't really point a finger here, but you can see the upper school building right there at the northern corner of this big park that's jutting out into the heart of downtown Manhattan. We have 3 buildings, upper school, lower school, and the dorms, which are located in the historic center of New York City. So they're all below Wall Street. Wall Street used to be the actual wall that separated, New Amsterdam from the forest that was north of it. And that is really something that distinguishes us from any other school in the world. We are one of the few boarding programs in a setting as cosmopolitan as this. I'm not sure about other European capitals, but there really isn't very much like this in the United States. We not only provide a terrific academic setting for our students, we also try to leverage the enormous cultural capital of New York City to our students, boarding and day, of course. So we're not only talking about museums, 160 nationalities that live in New York City area, theater, all of this pre-COVID, post-COVID, hopefully soon. We're also talking about internships at some of the most elite corporations in the world, which are geographically right across the street from us. So from investment banking to very much top scientific institutions, we really try to work with students from 10th grade on to focus them on the college application process, to focus them on the years after Léman, what they would like to devote their life to. And we direct them to internships at some of the most elite corporations and research institutions in the world.
So sorry to interrupt you, this internship program starts in the 10th grade, from the 10th grade, right? They can...
these are summer internships. They vary greatly in detail and length. Okay. They're usually 6 to 8 weeks in the summer.
Okay.
Obviously, a 16-year-old student would not be deciding critical issues at Goldman Sachs. She will be making copies, participating in group meetings, but being part of these top teams, whatever field it is that a student wants to focus on later on, really signals to top 15, top 20 universities that the person is serious, that the person is competitive in the sense that getting into a summer program like that takes a lot of work and perseverance. And there is an understanding what an actual world after school, after university looks like. This slide right here is just some facts about the school. So we have 1,000 students, kindergarten to 12th grade. We have 475 students in high school. Of those, 100 are boarders. So again, we are a private school in the middle of Manhattan. There are 900 families that live and work in the city and send their kids to our school. So the boarders who come to our international program, they are integrated very easily because outside of the international program, the school is incredibly international. About 50 or 60 nationalities are represented in the school. We are, for example, number 2 educational institution for the UN. A lot of the diplomats who come to work at the missions to the United Nations send their kids to Léman Manhattan. So not only are the boarders very easily absorbed into this community of families that live in New York because they are international already, their experience is drastically different. So it's one thing to send your child to a setting on a lake in Switzerland or in the UK or to New England in the United States where there's a campus and where primarily children are boarders, where they spend their weekends together, they live there and only see the school. The school is their world. At Léman, a boarder's world is New York City, and the contacts, the experiences they have on the weekends even are drastically different from another boarding program. We send 80% of our graduates to top 50 United States colleges and universities, and we're very proud of that, of course. And average class size is appropriate for a school of our stature. It's 16, 17 kids. Léman Manhattan is completely IB, so last 2 years, the students enroll in a curriculum which is similar across IB schools worldwide. It is really, to borrow a phrase from the video presentation, a gold standard in secondary education. So Harvard and Princeton deans of admissions have come out officially in the last 2 years saying that this significantly aids admission at their universities. IB is a program in itself, deserves quite a lot of study. So if you have specific questions about it, I'm glad to answer it. But in short, it's a program which allows us to graduate fully formed individuals.
So you only have the IB program or the American curriculum as well in the school?
Everybody is part of the IB program. Some students choose not to take the IB diploma, but primarily it's IB. So students who join us from non-IB schools, let's say in 12th grade, sometimes only receive the IB credits, but not a full diploma.
Yeah, you need 2 years, no, for the diploma.
You need 2 years for it to be complete, and it's quite rigid. Yeah. IB at Léman, we have standard 6 subject groups. We have choice of Mandarin, which is becoming more and more accepted. We have had Mandarin as a core foreign language of our curriculum. Again, if you guys have any questions about IB, I'm happy to answer them at length, but it's a different conversation. As I was saying, we graduate huge numbers of our kids. They go to really great universities, really great schools. So these are some of our recent graduates. Princeton, Dartmouth, University of Virginia in the United States, King's College in London. These kids are all boarders. These are some of the internships that I was telling you, which really sets the school apart. Again, its location, its geographical proximity to these firms, and again, the community of parents who sometimes work in many of the firms we try to direct our kids to. Talking about the school, the interior spaces, the upper school, of course, is one building. It's one 26-story building. The classrooms are very high on top. Other supporting spaces like the theater and the basketball courts I will show you a little later on the lower floors. So our classrooms have terrific, for New York City, light and really unparalleled views of the New York City, the Hudson Harbor. We have the Statue of Liberty there in the background. A lot of our faculty could be teaching at university level. About 80% of them have higher degrees. But again, because of the resources of the school, because of our location, we're able to attract top faculty from all over the world. We are not, how should I say it, an arts and science school or a math and STEM school, though we have an excellent theater program, and our kids consistently place on top of the math and physics and engineering competitions. We really try to graduate students who are well-rounded and are ready to engage in a global sense with the world. So are comfortable in, let's say, Shanghai and London, New York. Our theater program is really cool. Students set a musical once a year. The music program supports the theater program. So the students really do everything from costumes to obviously acting on the stage to the musical accompaniment. And once a year in the past, we've been able to stage this musical on a real Broadway stage, which was really great. There are 2 theaters at the school, one 400 seaters, and this one is a little bit smaller. This is the cafeteria, where boarding students eat all 3 of their meals, of course. There's a pretty wide spectrum of diets that we can accommodate. And we have about 50 extracurricular activities and teams at the school. So while we don't have a campus, our basketball courts, all kind of like indoor team sports, is in the building. We have 2 swimming pools, 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Students have a membership to a large sports facility about 300 meters away from the high school, where they play squash, again, competitively, lift weights. There's another swimming pool. That one is shared with other members. So it's a club that all of our students have membership to. The fields we rent in the parks surrounding the school. So while we don't have a physical presence in downtown Manhattan, that's all ours all the time, based on the graphic of seasonal, athletic activity, we always have access to great green spaces with, terrific views. And our tennis team is great. Our girls tennis team has been on top of the New York City private school rankings for a couple of years now. That was the school in a sort of a nutshell. The facilities and the academics of the school. And now I'll move on to the boarding program, which is of course a 7-day schedule. Perhaps this would be a good time to say a word about the situation with COVID. The school is now on a hybrid model. So since, well, let's start from March last year. So spring last year, almost now 11 months ago, the school closed after spring break, as was mandated by New York State, and we were completely virtual through June. There were obvious challenges, as I'm sure everybody listening is familiar with. But we pulled together, and in the end, our teachers were available even more than they usually are, and our students were committed, and we were able to complete the year with a stronger sense of community. It was a different facet of the Léman community, but we feel that it's strengthened. We had serious preparation during the summer. We tore down some of the actual physical spaces. We devoted the enormous resources available to a school like ours. And from September on, while other schools in the New York City area were still virtual or closed, we opened in this hybrid schedule. So we drastically reduced the number of students that were at the school at any one time. Students go in shifts, and they go 2-3 days a week. They're at the school, 2-3 days a week they're at home. So we really try to have as few people at the school at one time as possible. Because of our preparations over the summer and planning, there's rigorous planning about even something as simple as moving through the school. We have had very few cases of COVID, thankfully, in both the upper school and the lower school. And the upper school has only been one just recently, a few days ago. And there's been no community spread. So as soon as somebody got tested, they were quarantined successfully. Their immediate group of students and teachers, they were quarantined. There was no community spread within the school. And we're going into the last month now before spring break 2021, cautiously optimistic for the spring break, with the US now averaging 1.3, 1.4 million people getting vaccinated each day. And we hope to come back strong in the next academic year, of course. Because this is a fluid situation.
But do you have boarding students now too this year, Simon?
We do.
Mm-hmm.
Boarding students have an extra day or so on average that they get to spend in the school. So while day students are 2-3 days on, 2-3 days off, or in front of computers, for boarders it's more like 3 to 4 days at the school, 1 to 2 days at home or in the boarding program.
The boarding house.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do have boarders with us. It's less than 100, our usual 100 students, but we do have boarders, so the boarding program goes on. And of course, going forward, we expect it to be about the same scale, the same proportion to the school.
Okay, good.
So the boarding program, again, we're talking about fall 21, is 7 days, and students, boarders are engaged on Saturday and Sundays as well. Engagement during the weekend usually means trips to elite universities, around in New York City, trips up to Boston, theater tickets almost every weekend, or sports games. So there's usually something that goes on a every weekend basis. We are, of course, in the middle of New York City. That is something that needs no introduction. This is the actual boarding house. 37 Wall Street is a building where all of our boarders and their dorm parents reside. On the first floor, ground floor, is occupied by the downtown Tiffany's jewelry store. fairly safe location also because the New York Stock Exchange is 70 meters to the right of this building.
And the school? Sorry.
The boarding program is on the is located in the residential building that you're looking at here.
Yeah, but the boarding and the school is?
The school is 450 meters away.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's something that, again, I'd like to point out. Our boarders do go out on the street of New York and you know, they move around the city from boarding to their high school. It's mostly a pedestrian stretch of road. They are, but on a daily basis, they are on the street of New York City.
Good.
We rent several floors in this building. It's a residential building where the school has its own private elevator shaft that goes up to entire floors, which are occupied solely by the students. The typical apartments look like this. They're not cut into dorms. They are actual 2-3 bedroom apartments. In each bedroom, there are usually 2 students. Apartments have normal facilities, though of course we don't expect students to cook, but kitchens and living rooms remain. There are also large common spaces on each floor. So when the timeout or the lights out happens at around 10 p.m., the students enter their apartments, the door closes. There's a chip in the door that notifies the dorm parents if the door opens after the curfew hours, and they spend their time in this unit until eventually they go to sleep, whenever it is. Safety and security, of course, is a critical point that must be addressed for a school that attracts teenagers to live in New York City. We have, of course, physical security as well as technical and electronic security, both at our boarding, our school, which is substantial. But the foundation of the boarding program is the relationship between the boarders and the dorm parents. So my colleagues, who usually with their biological families, reside right next to the students on the same floor in apartments immediately side by side them, are in effect in loco parentis. They are adoptive parents, for lack of a better word in English, from August, when boarders arrive, to June, when they go back to, they take their car back to JFK. So anytime, so it's a life lived together. Anytime a student leaves the boarding program, they sit down and do a check-in, check-out procedure, where one of the dorm parents is always on duty, or always on staff. So it's not a student just kind of waving a hand to a security guard who's reading the newspaper. It requires a student to sit down, talk to one of the boarding parents, talk about their chemistry test, the tennis game, their plans for the rest of the day, and of course about where they were going. Without that, there's no leaving the boarding program. So that information is usually entered into a system which is available to all the employees of the school, to all the faculty, and we have a sort of a daily graphic of points of contact with each of our students. So, well, we don't know what our teenagers are doing at any one time. I would say that we do have quite a lot of contact with them, which is critical. A sample day means something. I mean, the schedule is very fluid, of course, for all of our kids, but generally speaking, on a weekday, they're in school until about 3:30. From 3:30 to 6, there's a slot for athletics, which we encourage every single one of our students to participate strongly. Extracurricular stuff, so theater, music, something else, or homework. Around 7 p.m. They have dinner, and around 10 p.m. Is their curfew, where they enter back into their apartments. So between 7:30 and 10, they have an opportunity to either continue studying, doing their homework, or to occupy themselves with their friends at boarding or at the school, or to go outside. That, of course, is done on an individual basis. Any kind of permissions, allowances are discussed with the students' parents on a very detailed basis. And again, every time there is an exit from the program, a student discusses it at length with their boarding parents. I want to say that we, of course, offer one-on-one support for all of our international students, both academically and as a, for those who need a little bit of a support for English as second language. Here, I'm assuming most of our listeners are in Europe, and English is not really an issue, so I'll skip that. But we are not. My colleagues in admissions don't have a sense of humor about somebody's English that needs to improve. That's one of the things that Léman. We accept kids who enter very fluidly into a very rigorous academic program where there isn't much time to kind of catch up. Our focus on college admissions is very strong. So beginning with the 10th grade, students start meeting on a monthly basis with guidance counselors who focus them on first the type of schools they wish to apply for. They focus them on some of the things that they would like to perhaps engage with during the summers, whether in the US, we talked about the internships, or in their home countries. That would signal to universities that they have that competitive edge that top universities look for. So our preparation starts in 10th grade or earlier. SATs happen in 11th grade. Preparation of the college admissions package, all of that goes hand in hand in that process.
Sorry to interrupt you. So yeah. I see here that it's not only you are visiting schools, colleges, but colleges come to visit the school as well.
Yeah. In the last years, it's been something like over 1,000 universities in the end would come and visit the school during the school year. We have these big fairs which attract a bunch of universities at a time. Yeah.
Okay.
Also SAT exams have in the past been given at Léman itself, which is sort of convenient. Our application for Borders is pretty straightforward. We expect our applicants to send us a basic application form that Eva will have. The transcripts for 3 years, 2 teacher recommendations, and then once that is received and kind of processed by me in regional case of Europe, we schedule an interview where we're kind of chit-chat about a student's plans and goals and why she would like to study in the U.S. It's pretty straightforward. Most of the time for European students, English testing is not necessary. We, of course, determine the level of English by simply speaking to you over video. Once you're at the school, there's usually some additional testing to determine which level of mathematics and science a student would need to be admitted to. But nothing before that.
Okay. Any requirements regarding the transcripts, the grades?
They have to be certified, translated and certified, and they have to come in to me directly from the schools.
Okay. And do you have a kind of average minimum? Good grades?
No, we don't. We evaluate each student on the merits of their entire application.
Okay. Great.
All right. So that's pretty much it. The admissions process is pretty fluid, also with the deadlines, because the schools, the boarding program is so small. We only accept 25, 30 students a year. So we see most of our applications happening in November and December of the year previous academic year. But we do consider applications that come into us in the spring, depending on the availability of space for, let's say, a girl who's applying to be a sophomore in boarding.
I see. Okay.
Because we don't have a huge number of students coming in every year. We'd like to, accommodate our families and students, potential students, on a kind of a one-to-one basis. Same with open day. We don't have an open day for the boarding. Whenever a family finds itself in New York, we're very happy to arrange for a personal visit to both the boarding program and the school itself.
So you still have open spaces for the boarding?
We are still considering applications for next year.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Thank you.
The budget that we would like to focus on is $93,000. It's a budget of a family from arrival to departure in June. It includes all of the trips and all the sports activities and pretty much everything that a child would need for 10 months in New York City. Medical insurance, even trips to Florida during spring break, pre-COVID. Boarders who've stayed with us and decided not to travel back to their home countries during a long spring break are usually taken to Florida or California, somewhere nice. That is included in the tuition.
That's nice. I guess everybody goes home at Christmas, no? Not this year, maybe.
Most people go home at Christmas. If they don't go home, they have family who come to pick them up. Yeah, the school is closed on Christmas.
Yeah, okay.
as it is during the summer.
And do you have some financial aid available?
We do consider financial aid packages. They rarely exceed 10-15% of total tuition. We are looking for, really outstandanding academic performance and some pretty spectacular extracurricular work. We also look for athletes who are performing on, a nationally ranked level. Athletes and really top performers. The scholarships rarely exceed 15% of the $93,000 annual tuition.
Okay. Good.
This the last slide in my presentation is our graduation ceremony at Federal Hall. It's a place across the street from the New York Stock Exchange, where for the first 5 years of the American Republic sat the U.S. Congress. So the first 5 years of after Declaration of Independence, New York City was the capital of America. And that is also where we now celebrate our graduation. It's a very special place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, so I don't know if someone has any questions. I don't see any questions arriving. So I actually wanted to ask you if you accept students. I don't know, I guess the shortest term is 1 academic year, right?
No, we have accepted students for 1 semester.
Also? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we accept students with conditions for 1 semester. Ideally, they come from IB schools, of course, but we do consider these short applications for students who are kind of looking to diversify their European high school experience.
So I guess the students who come for the I don't know if you take 12th graders at all, or you only take 12th graders from IB schools.
Sorry, 1 second.
It's okay.
We accept students in 12th grade as well. We have, for example, right now we have an Italian student who came in January for the end of her high school career.
And from an IB school, or?
No, she came from a very competitive,
okay.
a top public school in Bergamo.
Okay, but I guess she won't get the IB diploma.
She will not get this. She will not be considered for an IB diploma. She will get the standard US high school diploma. She will, even though she's only there for the last 6 months. Yeah. So we had to work with her teachers to make sure that she satisfied the requirements for the diploma in the US.
And for example, if there is a student in an IB diploma program in the 11th grade, you can take this student and get the final diploma in the 12th grade at Léman. It's possible.
Most of the time, yeah. I'm not, I would defer to the IB coordinator in New York, but I understand that there aren't any issues most of the time.
Good. That sounds very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Simon, if someone is interested in applying to the school, then I suggest they can get in touch with our local Your Way offices, and then we will direct application to you, and you will have the interview with the student, right? Absolutely. I think whoever obviously applies through you guys is in good hands. You can explain to them the school, knowing it as well as you do. I'm available to answer any preliminary questions, both to the students and to their parents, alongside you. Once I have the application, right now in February, we would have to kind of work quickly. We would request the grades. We would schedule an interview as soon as possible, and proceed with kind of taking next steps about next year. Okay. How long is usually the application process? Once I receive everything, is quite fast, because it's my interview notes alongside with the package of documents which I compile go to New York. I collaborate with the admissions team there. They make the decision usually within a week. Good. Okay, so go ahead. If you are interested, please connect us, your local Your Way office, and we are ready to help you. And thank you, Simon, very much for your presentation of this wonderful school. And if you have any questions later on, then you can still contact us. Be glad to hear from you. Yeah, thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Bye. Bye-bye.